Coming up next on Virginia Outdoor Life, we're talking turkey, tips and techniques to help you bag a big bird. Plus, an off-road adventure on two wheels, get your bike cleaned up and hit the trails. It's time to head outdoors, and where else but on Virginia Outdoor Life? Next. Hi, welcome to the show. This is Virginia Outdoor Life for Saturday, April 26th, along with Captain Eric Burnley. I'm Bob Matthews. If you can't tell, we're in Hampton on the pier at Strawberry Banks. If we had some poles out here today, what exactly would we be catching? Or would we be catching anything? It was the water temperature.
Croaker, spot, hopefully that kind of stuff from these piers. But they have a good time. You can tell the folks have been using the pier.
Yeah, very well worn. Of course, if we got out here on the boat near the bridge tunnel, we'd be catching some stripers.
Stripers, speckled trout are possible, flounder. It's good fishing there. I know it's a big headache for most of the drivers, but it's some good fishing around that structure.
Now, we're going to talk fishing in a little while, but first up, we got to talk turkey hunting because it's that time of the year.
Yes, it is. Turkey season is open.
And of course, last year when we went, we had a great trip because we actually caught a bird. And I say we, Catherine Taylor bagged us a bird, right?
Yes, she did. She did a great job, called the bird in, took the animal. It was very exciting.
Well, it's time to go out again and see if we can have the same kind of luck. Will it happen? Let's find out.
This afternoon we're out here at Orange Hill Bed and Breakfast near Charles City, Virginia, and we are with Clay Jackson, and Clay is a pro staff with Perfection Turkey Calls, and he's going to take us turkey hunting tomorrow. And what we're going to do this afternoon is go over some of the equipment that you use when you go turkey hunting. It's a little bit of a complicated process. You have to call the birds in. There's a lot of ways to do that. Clay, why don't we talk about some of these calls? Now, is that a box call?
This is a standard box call. It consists of your two sides, a bottom and a top. Naturally, you want to keep it chalked up because the chalk is, you chalk the paddle and you also chalk the lips.
Okay.
That's what gives you your resonant sound. And you use this a lot of times on a day like this when it's windy. I use it on up in the middle of the day to locate turkeys with. If you get a gobbler that's by himself on up in the day after the hens have moved off to go set on their eggs and dust or whatever, if you catch him by himself and shot gobbling with the box call, there's a pretty good chance you're going to get a chance to get a shot at it.
Why don't you show us how that is?
Well, the cut is basically a set of short clucks put together.
Okay, now this is also I would call a box call, but it's much smaller.
This is a chatterbox call, yes sir. This is a push button type call. Works real good also if you take some Velcro it to the front of your gun. Very little movement when the turkey's in close. You can sit there and purr with it.
Gotcha.
You can yelp. You can do soft purrs.
Good.
Very good, versatile little call.
Okay, and we got a strike call over there too, do we?
Yes, sir. This is a good one to use. This is the Screaming Demon that Perfection has out. You can do purrs, clucks. I found that the glass call works good on a turkey in the middle of the day or a windy day because it is a high-pitched sound.
Gets the noise out there.
Yes,
so they
sir.
can hear it.
Yes.
Now the mouth call, of course, there's no movement at all. You just use.
There's no movement at all. There are also the sounds that you can do with the diaphragm that you can't do with some of the other calls because of the flexible rubber that they're made out of.
Gotcha. Why don't you give us a little demonstration with the mouth call then?
That was a cackle with some short clucks on the end of it.
Right.
And turkey responds a lot to high-pitched, raspy sounds. They like the high-pitched raspy. That sounds more like an old hen.
Now this vest not only has a lot of comfort features, but it also has some safety features as well.
Yes, it does, Eric. You know, in turkey hunting by nature is probably one of the most dangerous sports that there are. You always want to be careful when you're in the turkey woods not to wear any red, white, or blue because those are the colors that a turkey hunter is going to key in on when he looks for a gobbler's head.
Right.
Second thing I like to impress on people is when you kill your bird and you put him in your pouch, try to get a vest that has an orange flap.
Right.
So that when you're walking out of the woods with your trophy, you don't get shot at by someone.
We'll see what happens tomorrow morning.
We'll have a good time. We're going to go out there and put one in the
Let's
roost this
put one in the
afternoon
roost, yeah, sounds good.
Try to get on him first thing in the morning.
Sounds good.
Let's do it.
his dream. He may have a hen with him. I'm gonna fall back about 30 yards, try to make him think the hen's walking away from him, see if I can bring him into you. Turkey's moving away from us. Did you notice he's moving around this way? It sounded like he was going this way. I know two things happen. He's either got a hen with him, or there's a creek or something where he doesn't want to cross to come to us. We're gonna have to haul butt, get over there and try to get closer to him.
He had picked up a hen in here, and they fed around waiting for the other hen, which was us, to come out here and join up with them. And we didn't come. And he gobbled one last time, walked on off with that hen into those pines.
All right, well, we didn't get a turkey.
We put it on him though.
Well, we heard one, we saw one, but that's the way it goes.
Had that one hammering at us, gobbling at us, but he had his wife and
His wife with him, and he
his
wasn't
two
about to step
girlfriends
out.
and wasn't going to come out there to socialize with
That's
us.
right,
He wanted us
that's right.
to follow him down through the woods.
I want to thank you, Charlie.
Believe it, one in the hand. We're too
That's
good to put
right.
it in.
That's it.
Thanks for letting us hunt on your property. And Skip, thank you very much for your hospitality.
Thank you.
So you didn't have the luck, but fortunately you've got another chance before the end of the season.
Oh yeah, the season isn't over till May 15th. Clay has promised to bring us back up when the weather's a little bit better. You got to blame it on something.
Absolutely.
And hopefully we'll be able to do a little bit better, calling the birds in and maybe get a shot this time.
Let's go breakfast they served you guys.
Excellent, beautiful rooms, great breakfast. Orange Hill bed and breakfast, a great place to stay. You ought to take the wife up there.
I just might have to do that. Before we do that, though, we got to get our bikes ready. That's what we're doing next. If your mountain bike has been in the closet for the wintertime, it's time to get it ready for the spring riding season. We'll show you what to do and where to do it when Virginia Outdoor Life comes back from the peninsula. Welcome back to Hampton. We're here at Strawberry Banks, and I have one question for you. Is your mountain bike ready for springtime?
It's as ready as it's ever been.
I think we can all figure out just what exactly he's talking about there. Well, for those of you out there that do like getting out and taking to the trails on the bikes, it's probably been a while since you've been out on them. It's been in the closet or the garage or wherever for the wintertime. So we hooked up with the folks at Conti's, and they gave us some tips on just what you need to look at on your bike as you get it ready for the spring season. Well, the first thing you want to do before you head out is get a nice, good tune-up for your bike, and that's what we're doing here at Conti's at Virginia Beach. We're here with Walter Garner. And Walter, what are some of the most important things to do if you bring your bike here into the shop after, it's been sitting around all winter?
Probably the biggest thing is to make sure that your tires are in good shape. In this area, with the salt water being so bad, one of the things you run into is dry rot. And just making sure that everything is operable, good brakes, make sure the chain's lubricated.
Most stuff that you replace on your your normal everyday average bike isn't too pricey, right?
No, not at all. And the average price of brake shoes is somewhere around $6 to $12, and generally good tires start off at about $14 and up. I mean, you can spend as much as $120 on tires, but the average guy is not going to spend that kind of money on tires. Depending on what type of riding you do, if you're actually a road cyclist like this gentleman, these bikes require very little maintenance, mostly just wiping them down when you're done riding them and keeping the chain oiled. However, the off-road bikes, the mountain bikes, which have become very popular, those, if they're riding them and doing what they want to do with them, they're usually breaking them. So they're actually good for us.
One more time, let's go over it. The big checklist, the main things you want to look for when you first take that bike out of the garage, when it gets warm.
Go ahead and squeeze the brake handles on there. Make sure that the cables are operating properly. Check the brake shoes. Give the wheels a spin. See if the wheels are nice and true. And inflate the tires and just check them for cracks, that type of thing.
Well, now that our bikes are checked out, let's go on out to Seashore State Park. We talked with the guys out there not only about bike safety, but where you can and can't ride this spring.
This is what they would class as an easy to moderate trail, which means from an experience level, from a novice level, it might be, if you're not a down and out athletic type person, you might wind up with somebody that's a little winded, and it is 6 miles, the length of the trail. So yeah, it's 6 miles one way, and they forget that, and sometimes they forget it's 6 miles back. We ask people to stay on the bike path because of the amount of damage that the narrow bicycle tire does as opposed to footprints. What you wind up with is a tremendous erosion problem. The really bad part about this is that once it gets torn apart, and it happens faster with bicycles than it does with feet, is it takes about 7 to 10 years before you can pretty much erase the damage. And it takes 27 years before it's completely gone and completely recovered. And unfortunately, hills and bicycles go together. It's a challenge. And I understand that. But it is a violation. It's a Class 1 misdemeanor. If they get caught, they stand a chance of losing their bicycle, they stand a chance of going to jail for a year, and they stand a chance of getting a $2,500 fine. It's not that we're against bikers. That's not it at all. They help us a lot. There's a lot of good trail workers. They keep us apprised of things going on in the park. We just have a minimal request is that they use a little bit of common courtesy. They let people know when they're passing them, and that they stay on the designated trails, which is basically the same thing we ask at pedestrian traffic too.